didn't have much time to react. Gets his fingertips to it and it brushes his knee on the way past. So yeah, you'd have to say a drop chance there.
You wouldn't be happy with that, would you?
What, given as a drop chance? Yeah. I don't know, I back myself off my own bowling.
Meredith in, looking to whip that away down the leg side is Bryant, and he gets nothing on it. Meredith is now on the floor, which is a position you're quite used to as well, actually, from your bowling days.
A number of times.
Yes. 41 without loss. Why is it that happens to certain bowlers? Mark Wood is forever falling over, of course, isn't he?
Yeah, it's actually your foot slips out the back. So you see here his foot almost goes up over his head and he does a cartwheel down the pitch. It's when your spikes don't grip as much. So some guys land, and this is going to get quite technical, so bear with me, but some guys land their foot and there's a slight pivot and grip, and then they kick through the crease. And if you don't quite get that grip when you pivot slightly, your foot will just slide out the back of the foothold and up into the air, and that's why you end up almost face planting into the wicket.
Here is Meredith again. Bryant drives gloriously over mid-on for 4. Got the elevation quite flat nonetheless. It wasn't that far over mid-on, but it was beautifully struck. He's timing it so well. And 45 without loss now. Bryant moves to 23. I'm interested in this. So there'll be some bowlers whose front foot lands and stays solid, and then the body comes over top. Is there a bit of strain would go through the ankle, wouldn't it, if you do the slide a bit? Would there?
It's more of a pivot, so your foot lands solid, but then as you're coming through your action, it pivots and relies on grip. That's why some guys, I think Brett Lee was one of them. I know James Harris at Middlesex, where I play at the moment, uses the spikes that look like they could be a murder weapon.
Right, stilettos. Meredith in, and that's driven full delivery square of the wicket by Bryant. He'll pick up 1 for it. It was right in the block hole. He gave himself room outside the leg stump, then squeezed it out for a single. End of the over, end of the power play. 4 gone, 46 without loss. Bryant 24 from 12. Heaslet 20 from 12. So both pretty much going at the same rate. It's been a super start to the Brisbane Heat innings as they chase 149 to win. Now, falling on the pitch, though, of all the areas of a cricket ground to fall on, that's going to be sort of the more painful, isn't it?
It's not ideal. You end up doing a power slide down the middle of the track or something on your knees. It's
like a big bruise down the sort of left hand side of your...
No, it's more your knees. I think you see Mark Wood, he ends up on all fours like he's doing a yoga stretch of some sort. I was the same, or sometimes you learn to just smoothly commando roll out of it. So you realise halfway through you're going down, and you're just like, I'm not even going to try and stop this. Commando roll, and you move on.
Like Alan Partridge being Bond. Full and driven up to long on, start of a new over, and it's Will Parker bowling his first ball in Big Bash. Parker is a leg spinner. Always fun watching a man make his debut. Try to get an idea of what he bowls and how he bowls. Being Australian, of course, he probably came out of the womb bowling leg spin. They all seem to do that. 47 without loss. A left-handed Heaslet on strike now to Parker. It's over the wicket to him, short, pulled in the air, out over deep square leg for 6. That was a drag down from Parker. That'll happen, obviously, especially if you're young, you're learning your trade, but that was exactly where Heaslet wanted it. Dragged not quite halfway down, a little fuller than that, but Heaslet just swung and walloped it over deep backward square. The 50 is up. 53 without loss, and the Brisbane Heat are in danger of making this 149 target look exceptionally measly.
It was a drag down, wasn't it? It was a leg spinner drag down as well. I think sometimes in those scenarios, if it's a googly and it's dragged down, the batsman's hitting against the spin.
Short again, pulled again, this time over deep mid-wicket for 6. Another, poor ball from Parker, who's now under a huge amount of pressure on debut here. He's bowled 3 balls, and second and third of them have gone for 6, and you feel for him in this situation.
Ruthless from Heaslet there. This looked like an attempted googly to try and get the ball spinning across the left-hander.
Here he is again. What's he going to do now? Full. That's been heaved over deep mid-wicket again. You feel for him in this situation.
3 sixes in a row. this looked like an attempted
his
googly.
shoes now. This must be agonising. 65 without loss. I'd almost forgotten about the score. It almost seems incidental. Very nearly, we're at the Bash boost point already with 5.2 overs to spare. So he got his length better this time, but just 2 full. And Heaslet has gone to 38 from 15. What will Parker do here? He's in. Full. Hit down the ground. High in the air. And dropped at long on. Exactly what the young man did not need. It was a tough chance. But I don't think the fielder quite judged that right. He was moving more to his right rather than towards the ball. And so Parker, who could really have done with that wicket, it was mishit by Heaslet. It was in the air a long time, got 2 hands to it, sprawling on the floor. This time shorter, punched off the back foot by the right-handed Bryant for a single. So that over went 1, 6, 6, 6, 1, drop 1. None for 21 for the Elfin Parker, who looks not even all of his 18 years, but he's managing to smile through what must have been a fairly grim ordeal as he saw the ball being smashed to all parts. Stephen Finn is going to comment on all of that, while I have to do some ludicrous hokey-cokey. And Simon Mann's going to come and replace me before I reappear like magic in no time at all.
It's an electric start to the innings here for the Brisbane Heat. We wondered whether the Hobart Hurricanes would come out with the impetus that the last few overs of their innings had given them, with the energy to try and take those early wickets. They tried, but they failed. Didn't manage to make that breakthrough. And the Brisbane Heat in the last few overs have been brutal in putting anything loose away. Parker, the young man on debut, 18 years old. His first over in Big Bash cricket goes for 21. The Brisbane Heat 67 for no loss after 5 overs. Ellis comes into the attack, hoping to make that breakthrough, and it'll be interesting to see here whether they do start trying to bowl more slower balls as the opposition did.
Here is Ellis going into bowl to Bryant. It's full, it's lifted down the ground straight. And it's dropped between 2 fielders. Kemo Poole has come onto the field, not as the X-Factor player, but as a substitute for the injured Faulkner. And Bryant moves to 28, and Heaslet is on 39. And it's 69 for no wicket after 5.1 overs. There are 2 targets for the Brisbane Heat, 68 for the 1 point and 149 for 3 points. I mean, the way they're going at the moment, it looks like a 4-pointer's on the cards for them. Bryant on strike, that's forced away out towards deep cover. There's a sweeper out there. Coming back for 2 though, because it was just away to his left-hand side. It's been a fantastic start from these 2. We thought it might be hard to score after the break. They just come out and smacked it. It's 71 for no wicket after 5.2 overs. Bryant and Heaslet. We've got Lawrence to come and Gregory today in the top 6 of the Brisbane Heat. The way things are going, we might not need much of their contributions. Earlier, Gregory took 3 wickets on his debut for Brisbane Heat. Here's Ellis bowling, it's down the leg side. There's a big shout for LBW. There's a bit of hesitation as well. There might be a run out. The ball is flicked towards the stumps. And the upshot is a dot ball. It didn't look a very good shout for LBW, I have to say. That's moving across and hit quite high up. And then there was confusion between the 2 batsmen about whether they were going to go for a run or not. Let's have a look. And he nearly knocked the bails off Ellis as he ran through. I think he got there fractionally before the bat came down. Just seeing the LBW replay, that was too high. Often is at the Gabba. 78 to win off 87 balls for the Brisbane Heat to register their first win of the season. Ellis goes in, bowls to Bryant. Bryant forces it away through the cover gap. Swept up in the deep. This time it's straight to the cover fielder on the boundary, so it's only a single. 72 for no wicket in the 6th over. Dan was mentioning the mountaineer Fred Truman, the mountaineer who broke his leg and still managed to take him way down that Peruvian mountain. It was Joe Simpson, Touching the Void. If you've not read the book, it's really worth hearing. He was actually a view from the boundary guest not so far back, up at Headingley. 72 for no wicket in the 6th over. He's on 39, the left-hander. Ellis goes in and bowls to him on leg stump, turned away, fine. It's another run down towards the fine leg boundary, but they can now, if they want to, just sit in and knock it around. All options are available to them. They're in such a good position. 73 for no wicket. They've got the bash boost as well. They're well past that. They need 68 for 1 point, and they're up to 73. So they've knocked that point off, no trouble at all. It's their second point of the season. Chris Lynn, their captain, is not playing today. He's out until middle of January, but without him today, his team have done very well. Bryant on 31. Ellis bowls, lifted away into the leg side. Oh, he's hit straight to square leg. And Ellis, the bustling Ellis, has got the wicket. And it's David Malan who's taken the catch. He hit around about belt height, two hands, and Bryant has gone for 31. It was one of the, I mean, he actually hit it pretty well, but he picked out Milan just behind the square leg umpire. No trouble at all. So 73 for 1 after 6 overs, and Ellis with the breakthrough.
Straight into the breadbasket there of David Malan, but Ellis is the first guy that we've seen that's consistently chopped and changed his pace throughout and over for the Hobart Hurricanes today. The rest of the guys, apart from the odd slower ball, there's not been a consistent changing of pace, which we saw was so effective in the first innings, with Lewis Gregory probably bowling 80% of his deliveries slower balls, and he was the guy who made those breakthroughs in those middle overs. So Ellis has noticed that. He's been intelligent. He's realised that you can't bowl the same pace, especially on this wicket, especially when the batsmen are going great guns, and he's got the Hobart Hurricanes that breakthrough they well and truly desperately needed.
That's the voice of Stephen Finn on 5 Live Sports Extra, BBC Sounds and the BBC Sport website. Now Dan Lawrence is in for his final game, his final innings for the Brisbane Heat number 3. Very shortly he will be off to Sri Lanka, which is not a bad preparation, going to the Gabba to play a match. They're going off to Sri Lanka.
Slightly different propositions, I'd say,
in terms of the heat and the humidity, but in terms of the pitch is a bit different. Yeah. 73 for 1. That's there on 40, and Darcy Short's going to bowl. His left armers, and his first ball nearly gets through Heaslett there, inside edge onto the pad. It rolled behind the stumps on the onside. Short he looks fairly innocuous, but he can be very effective in T20 cricket. And latest delivery is chopped away. It's a sprawling stop at backward point, and there's 2 dot balls to start with from Darcy Short. 73 for 1, 7th over, nearly halfway there. Short bowls, cut away, this time wide of backward point. And they come back for 2 runs. The ball goes out towards the boundary, so he's on to 42 now. And the score goes to 75 for 1. Let's have a quick look at Dan Lawrence in the Big Bash this season. Here's short bowling. It's driven by Heaslett up towards long off for a single, so Lawrence will face his first ball now. Scores of 8, 20 and 13. So it'd be nice to finish off here with something to sort of leave behind, really, a memory to leave behind. It's neither not been one thing nor the other, really, from Dan Lawrence. 76 for 1. We saw him bowl that one over earlier for 10 runs. Darcy Short, left arm over to the right-handed. Lawrence, who comes forward, and the ball goes past the outside edge of the bat there. And it's taken by the wicket-keeper. Lawrence rather groping forward at that one. He's going to have plenty of spin to face in Sri Lanka if he gets a go for England. Not entirely convincing to his first ball against Darcy Short there. 76 for 1. Last ball of Short's over coming up. Let's just put a lid on it for the moment. The Hobart Hurricanes, they need a lot more than this. They need to keep taking wickets. Short in, bowls to Lawrence. Oh, he's got through. Lawrence had been bowled off stump. He's looking to dab it away on the offside. Missed it. And 2 quick wickets. And perhaps Hobart Hurricanes are forcing their way back into the game. Well, Lawrence departs with a duck and continues that theme that of struggle for England players. Actually, just seeing the replay, he got something on that. He was looking to dab it away. He got under edge into his stumps. It bounced up and hit the stumps and knocked the bails off. So a wicket for Short and a duck for Lawrence.
It looked almost tentative there, Dan Lawrence, because he was just trying to dab it for one into the offside rather than get right back on his stumps and play with some conviction through the offside. That causes the inside edge that bounces down off the crease line and back onto the stumps and breaks his wicket. At 76 for 2, you'd think still the Hobart Hurricanes have so much work to do, but in the last 2 overs they've definitely worked out and noticed that it is off-pace bowling that is going to be the thing that's going to lead to the pressure that then builds towards taking wickets. I think they'll be looking back in hindsight potentially at the end of this game wishing that they'd realised that 3 or 4 overs earlier.
Yeah, 73 to win off 78 balls is still an equation that's very much in favour of Brisbane Heat, because they haven't won yet. And a couple of quick wickets might put a bit of a doubt in. Tom Cooper is in at number 4 for the Heat, who was the subject of that LBW decision the other day that, well, if you see it again, I mean, of course the umpire doesn't get to see it again. Ellis now moves in to bowl to Heaslett. He's still there, the left hand. He brushes that off his hip down towards deep back of square leg, and looking for the second run, but they decide against it, so Cooper will be on strike. When you get to see it again, it's very clear. He came off his glove. It didn't hit his pad at all.
No, it was a shocker, wasn't it? It was an absolute shocker. And he was almost laughing as he walked off the pitch, but I don't think he'd have been laughing inside.
Well, there might have been a bit of bat throwing in the dressing room.
Yeah, a bit of kicking off, yeah. I was just wondering, do you know where the term left-arm Chinaman comes from?
Well, it's a phrase that's used for left-arm leg spinner, and I think the idea is, I think the current vogue is to use the phrase left-arm leg spinner,
right,
or left-arm wrist spinner,
right,
left-arm wrist spinner. Here is Ellis bowling, struck on the pad there. Cooper, is a big appeal for LBW. The ball goes away on the offside, and it's been given as a leg bye. We were talking the other day about LBW decisions at the Gabba. The ball often goes over the top of the stumps, and that one was going over the top, so it looks straight. Seeing the replays on the front pad, I mean, it's not a bad shout, that. A bit closer than Tom Cooper won the other day, it has to be said. If he'd been given out to that one, you wouldn't have felt it was an appalling decision.
He's given it to Stuart Broad, hasn't he? The run-off, not looking round at the umpire, can't quite believe that it's not been given out. But here we know at the Gabba that, I mean, that is stone dead. It's saying it's hitting 4/5 of the way up the stump on the ball tracker.
That one's on leg stump to Heaslett, nudged away into the leg side for a single. 79 for 2 in the 8th over.
But it's so dependent on where the batsman's standing in his crease as to where it hits him, because we've seen people get hit in the knee roll and the ball has been comfortably going over the stump. So it's up to the umpire or his mate at square leg to work out and say where the batsman is standing on the crease, so that then he has an idea of how far the ball has to travel once it hits him.
79 for 2, 8th over. Cooper turns the other way down towards deep back of square leg and picks up 4. Well, using the pace of the ball there, he's off the mark. Nicely played. 83 for 2 in the 8th over.
Eased away there. It's exactly the sort of delivery you want to get off the mark. It's pace on from Ellis, 141 kilometres an hour. Good pace, late 80 mile an hours. But the line was too straight. Tom Cooper just turns it round the corner, gets a good amount of bat on it. It beats the man at fine leg for 4.
8th over. Cooper on 4. Ellis goes into Bolton, knocks that away into the onside towards forward square leg, and they go through for a single. 65 to win from 73 balls. It's one of those passages of play really from the Brisbane Heat, regrouping and nudging it around for 3 or 4 overs, and suddenly the target doesn't look imposing at all. It doesn't look particularly imposing at the moment, but get it down to about 30 or 40 to win. Bags of overs in hand, and the surge to come as well. You don't want to be doing is losing any more quick wickets. Ellis bowls, slower delivery. Heaslet forces into the offside. It's half stopped in the covers. They're able to go through for a single. Heaslet to 46. He also keeps the bowling as well. It's 85 for 2 after 8 overs. The Big Bash on 5 Live Sports Extra, BBC Sounds and BBC Sport website. It's Brisbane Heat against the Hobart Hurricanes. Hobart Hurricanes making 148 for 7, and the Brisbane Heat going well in reply. And this is Stephen Finn.
Yes, they're going very well in reply here. 85 off 8 overs. Again, the Hobart Hurricanes will be ruining the fact that they've not changed their pace more through the early parts of this innings.
Here's Short again with his left arm wrist spin, and Heasler goes for the cut shot, misses, and it's not taken cleanly by the wicketkeeper.
It's amazing how wrist spin, even part-time wrist spin, can be so effective in T20 cricket.
Short bowls outside the off stump, thick edge from Heasler down towards the third man boundary. Boland's after it, picks it up, sends in the return, and they were looking at 3 there. Heasler has to be content with just the 2. Keeps him on strike though. He's on to 48. Well, one thing about it is, because you don't see that much of it, you have to sort of work out in your mind which way the ball's going to spin, presumably. And how much left arm wrist spin have you faced? Here is Short bowling. It is short, and it's clattered away out to deep mid wicket, and Heaslet's gone for 48. He's picked out the man on the boundary, and Short's picked up his 2nd wicket. He's taken 2 for 5. He's in his 2nd over. Is that another catch for David Malan? I think it is, at deep mid wicket. It wasn't a particularly good ball. It sat up, it was belted away, but it nestled nicely in the breadbasket of David Malan. So it's 87 for 3, and the 2 main scorers are gone now. Bryant and Heasler at the top of the order. He's out for 48. Caught Malan, bowled short.
Good innings from Sam Heasler, 48 runs, but even there, Darcy Short, it looked like a bit of a drag down, but the side-on view that we get on the camera here, you can just see it kick up out of the pitch slightly, and that's the beauty of what a leg spinner has, that even if they get it wrong, but they still manage to get enough revolutions on it, it can just stick in the wicket. And again here, knowing Darcy Short, knowing that those square boundaries are relatively big out there, hitting against the spin, it's going to be a decent size hit to be able to lift it over that man on the deep mid-wicket boundary. So David Malan waiting out there, knowing that that's where Heaslet was going to be looking to target, manages to take the catch, and another wicket in quick succession here leaves the Brisbane Heat 87 for 3, and with them winless this competition, you just wonder whether a couple more wickets here might leave or sow the seed of doubt into their minds.
Here's just something on that question you raised a few minutes ago. I've just been having a look through. 87 for 3 in the 9th over. Short bowling his left arm wrist spin. Here's Short bowling. He's dabbed away into the offside towards back of point, and there's no run. Cricket Bible Wisdom has banned the term Chinaman to describe slow left arm wrist spin bowlers for their 2018 edition after it was deemed offensive. Here is Short bowling, turned away by Wildermuth, who's the new man into the onside. Back in March 2018, cricket writer Andrew Wood deemed the phrase racially offensive after Kuldeep Yadav's Test debut for India. I mean, it is a term that has been used in cricket for many years. And Wisdom has responded by saying that from now on it will be described as left arm wrist spin. But you're right, for many decades it was described as the Chinaman, a left arm wrist spinner.
It's just amazing. You don't see many, do you? You can only think of a few in the history of the game that have consistently played left arm wrist spinners. It's such an effective thing, especially with the birth of T20 cricket now and how effective wrist spin is. It may be something that as we move through and kids pick up a ball now as left armers, they won't traditionally go to left arm finger spin. They'll stick with left arm wrist spin.
Legend has it, or the origin of it, the word Chinaman was first coined after left arm wrist spinner Ellis Chong, a West Indian of Chinese descent, took the wicket of England's Walter Robbins. And Robbins made a remark about that at the time, and about being out to that to Ellis Achong, and it's all stuck, but I think retrospectively it's felt that it's a phrase that needs to go out of the game.
Yeah, fair enough.
60 to win off 66 balls. Wildermuth on 1, Cooper on 6. Parker bowls, driven by Cooper into the onside. It's 90 for 3 in the 10th over, 59 to win off 65 balls.
This is where I think you'd see your aggressive captains like Owen Morgan, Brendan McCullum, bringing people in, bringing slips in, just trying to put the pressure right back on the batting team.
Wildermuth faces, it's driven into the offside. Parker in his second over of more orthodox leg spin, wrist spin. Concedes a couple of runs there from that delivery. Wildermuth moves to 3, and the score goes to 92 for 3 in the 10th over. 57 to win off 64 balls. Looking to rebuild here the Brisbane Heat. After the loss of 3 quick wickets, Wildermuth drives into the offside, wide of long off, out into the deep, out towards deep extra cover. Throw comes in, and they run through for a couple of runs. Wildermuth moves to 5.
Do you just feel in this period now that if the Hobart Hurricanes let the Brisbane Heat just milk the bowling around, that it's just going to become far too easy for them to reach this target? They have to pose some challenges to the Brisbane Heat batsmen.
94 for 3, low full toss from Parker, turned into the onside by Wildermuth, up towards long on, and they go through for another run. So they're well ahead here. Brisbane Heat coming to the halfway point, and will then have the short break. They need 54 more to win. It's a lovely position to be in, as long as they don't keep losing wickets. They have of late. Parker bowls, back cut by Cooper towards short third man. There's no run there. Heat looking for their first win in this season's Big Bash against Hobart Hurricanes, who've been one of the stronger sides in recent years, or they've never won Big Bash. They've been the runners-up twice. Parker bowls, Cooper comes forward and plays this up the offside of the pitch. It's picked up by Parker. There's no run. It's the end of the over. 95 for 3 after 10 overs. 54 more required in the last 10, and the players are going to take a drinks break here, and the coaches are going to make their way out to the middle, and it's time for Daniel Norcross to pick up the commentary. But we've decided, Stephen, we're going to work you hard today. You're going to be staying for a bit longer.
Oh, I'm in. Okay.
Yeah,
fine.
You're in.
Yeah, it's a good start here for the Brisbane Heat. 95 for 3. I feel as though they've broken the back of the innings. The Hobart Hurricanes will look back at their first 3 or 4 overs. The majority of their balls were pace on, trying to get the ball to swing, trying to find the edge, when really I don't think we've seen that be all that effective here today. It was the other night, but not today. Changes of pace seem to be the order of the day, and since then they have realised that. They've implemented those, and they've took 3 wickets to put a little bit of pressure back on the Brisbane Heat, but not quite enough at this stage, you would imagine, for it to be anything of a concern.
Yeah, sorry, Steve. We decided unilaterally, we took the decision to keep you on.
Behind my back?
Yes, behind your nodding considerable back, yeah. Because we thought that the way the Brisbane Heat were going, the game could be over within about 14, 15 overs.
Yep,
so
makes sense.
We sort of thought we needed your tactical acumen.
Yep.
But of course, the moment we do that, 3 wickets go. You know, so we'll play it by ear. What I want to ask you about here is the surge. So at this point, if you were a really aggressive captain, might you say to yourself, the danger we might get into here is playing too many balls, getting ourselves into trouble. If we really get on the front foot, take 2 overs of power play now, whack that for 25, the game is as good as over. Yeah,
and it helps your net run rate as well, doesn't it, if you win the game within those earlier overs. So I would, if I was captain or in a decision-making position, which I don't find myself in all that often, I would probably be inclined to lean towards taking the 2 over power play for that exact reason, to try and get ahead of the game even further, to try and kill it off and win the game as quick as possible in order to help your net run rate. But on the flip side, Brisbane Heat, they're short of confidence. They've not won a game yet. They may want to play the safe route and just say, right, we're going to take the 4 points from this game. We've got our the boost point at the halfway stage, and let's just knock these off sensibly.
Wildermuth is facing up to Short. It's a short ball which he cuts at and misses to the gloves of Ben McDermott, and there's no run. We saw that a little bit in the IPL, didn't we? Chris Gale came into a side that had been losing. Short is in. That's worked way into the onside. They're not going to get a single for it. Goes straight to Short, fine leg, no run. I think it was a Kings 11, and they'd had a series of really close finishes, and then they nearly lost a game that they were cruising. They needed 6 and over, and even Chris Gale was being really careful in taking singles. Next ball was a little short, worked into the onside up to deep mid wicket, and they'll pick up a single. Well, Wildermuth moves to 7, 96 for 3. So I understand why you'd be cagey, but there's so much about an attitude of mind. You've got to make your own attitude of mind, haven't you? In order to get confidence, you've sort of got to be confident. Full, driven. Oh, brilliant catch. Absolutely brilliant. Caught and bowled from Short. That was driven with real power by Tom Cooper. Back at the bowler, and Short just stuck out his left hand. He's picked up his 3rd wicket. He's only gone for 8 runs. And when things aren't going for you, things like that happen. It was a firmly struck drive, yes, in the air, but it was just pure instinct from Short. He stuck out his left hand and he caught it at around about shoulder height. His arm was extended as if he was giving a no ball signal, and he pivoted and found that the ball had stuck in his hand, and that's an absolute beauty.
It's a fantastic catch, complete reaction catch. It's almost made it look so casual. He just stuck a hand out, a little sly grin once he caught it. Tom Cooper's now trudging off for the 2nd time this week, feeling very unlucky and unfortunate for himself. He's shaking his head as he goes. He can't quite believe it that Darcy Short's managed to hold on to that. Had he not held on to that, it might have took the umpire back to the boundary with it. It was hit that hard, but a fantastic reaction catch. Now brings Lewis Gregory to the crease.
Yep, well, we've been saying this a lot, the number of Englishmen who've got ducks. We had a duck from James Vince the other day, and in the same game there's another Englishman playing that game who also got a duck. Will Jacks has had two ball ducks, and Dan Lawrence got a duck today. So that seems to be the sort of order of the day for English players. Of course, you're absolutely right about the umpires, Stephen Blimey. Yesterday, I don't know if you watched, but there was a moment when a certain aspect of an umpire's life may have come to a cruel and unusual end when he was hit about 3 inches from the centre of his groin.
Right.
And there was a fair delay. It luckily just got the very top of the fleshy part of the inside left thigh. But my word, that would have been the head of the umpire if Darcy Short hadn't intervened. And a thick outside edge from Gregory to his first ball just squeezes past slip, and suddenly this game is looking very different. It's 96 for 4, and I don't think we are going to see a surge anytime soon, because it would take a certain bravery, let's say, in this situation to take it. It might be the right decision, but it's very hard to take those sorts of decisions. Short pulled by Gregory out to deep mid wicket. They think of 2, it's not there. 97 for 4 at the end of a successful over from Darcy Short. He's taken 3 for 9 in 3 overs. 97 for 4, Wildermuth 7, Gregory 1. You get the chance to see that catch, take a look at it. It was stunning. It's one of those ones that sticks or doesn't, obviously, but his reaction reminded me a bit of, do you remember Jofra Archer's incredible caught and bowled? It went back really fast. It just plucked it, tossed the ball away as if absolutely
casual, as if it's just, that happens every day of the week.
Your best caught and bowled? Do you remember it?
I do actually, it's my first Ashes wicket.
Ooh,
Simon Cattage, 2010. 2010 at the Gabba. He tried to drive it back past me, but it got sort of a thick outside edge onto it, and I caught it about an inch off the floor, diving in front of me.
Oh, your natural habitat. As Meredith is in, worked back at a square, fine on the onside. decent stop from Ben McDermott prevents more than the run. 98 for 4. Did you maintain insouciance, or did you toss the ball in the air?
No, it's actually probably one of my favourite cricket photos is my celebration of that, me jumping high into the air, throwing the ball up, but also me jumping up. It looks like I'm... If I was famous enough and good enough at cricket, you could design a shoe range similar to the Air Jordans with the image of me throwing the ball up into the air. But unfortunately...
Hey, look, there's still time. Meredith in, so the right-handed Wildermuth, who tucks this off his pads down to long leg for a single. It was spearing in on those pads. 99 for 4.
But Shield Berry actually proceeded to write an article, because I also... that series 10-11 happened, and then our first game of the English summer, I think, was against Essex at Lord's, and I caught Alistair Cook in a very similar way, caught and bowled straight back to me, diving in front of the stumps. And Shieldberry wrote an article about how batsmen would now be scared to hit the ball back past me for fear of me catching it, so they were trying to play square, and it was a good asset to my game. I couldn't quite believe it.
Yeah, did it pan out that way?
No.
Meredith in, and Gregory is bowled off an inside edge. Oh, that was a limp shot. He was just looking to push it into the offside with no foot movement. Gets an inside edge. The ball clatters back onto the stumps. The second Englishman to be played on in very similar fashion. Suddenly, the Brisbane Heat are 99 for 5. That's just flicked the leg stump, just knocked off the leg bail. And this game, and it hasn't turned, well, it has turned around insofar as it's 70 on for none off 6 or 7 overs. The Heat were going to win this inside 14 or 15 overs. Well, now at 99 for 5, there will be jitters in the camp and further English failure, I'm afraid I have to report. What
Most definitely.
Yes, Clark. It was Clark who was run out by Hales for a duck, Erendorf for a duck. 2 Nottinghamshire players, although Clark has of course moved since to Worcestershire, with Will Jacks's pair of ducks and Dan